Welcome everyone, I am the Depressed Eeyore, and this is Dokapon Kingdom Connect. Dokapon Kingdom is essentially a series that's a mixture of like RPG and Mario Party with all the frustration attached to it. One of the first games I ran on my channel was a game called 100 World Story, which was a Famicom game that was maybe not as crazy RNG party-like as the Dokapon Kingdom, but it had a very similar style to it where it was like you bunch of adventures that are all trying to do one quest on a board, but you may do mean things to each other in the process as you try to solve everything. So we try to cycle back through this. So for this playthrough, I will be showing off this game. I've been recently watching other people's live stream archives and such of their playthroughs, usually playing with other people, but there's a few, like iPatch Wolf, who's been doing a playthrough with all the hardest difficulty AIs and stuff like that. They've been playing mostly blind, with a few exceptions. So I'm going to try. I just actually recently got done with a full playthrough of story mode, and I'm hoping to be able to show off this game with a little bit of foreknowledge. That being said, the little intro movie kind of shows a little bit of everything that can possibly happen in the game, and some of those events that it briefly showed I have never seen before, so there are a lot of things, let's just put it that way. For now, for this first video, I am going to put the speed feature at off. What this will do is it will if you're playing with AI, it speeds up gameplay by quite a bit. I will go ahead and keep the space movement to fast, so you're going to see all the movement across the board go rather quickly. This is a very long game if you're playing on the story mode, and honestly the story mode is, I think, pretty fun, and I think it's probably the way you should play it if you can spare the multiple sessions it would require for a group to actually complete it. You're looking at like 500 to like 700 quote-unquote turns worth of gameplay that you would probably have to do to actually complete the story mode from start to finish. Anyway, with all that said and done, let's go ahead and I think I have everything set. One way to find out. So we're going to do start. We're going to go to offline mode. There is online play. Supposedly on Steam it's a little buggy from what I've heard, but it's more or less still functional. One thing to know is the audio, the dialogue's volume compared to the music volume seems to be off. So I apologize. I will try to be quiet during the speech so you guys can possibly hear it. But if it's not all dialogue is read, so any dialogue that is not read, I'll try to read myself. Alright, so there's a couple of gameplay modes. Normal mode kind of treats the entire world as just one big playing board. This tends to lead to if you're familiar with the game, it will lead to players doing things like rushing to certain high-level locations and trying to get stuff there just to get the power boost. Battle Royale, I'm not really sure what that is. I think it's just pure combat, but I'm not entirely certain. And then story mode is kind of what I've been talking about. It's essentially normal mode, but there's actual like main quests that you actually want to do to progress, and the map is essentially partitioned into its own specific chapters. As you complete chapters, the map will gradually open up and expand, and I think that's a lot better way to play it. Besides, you get to hear all the fancy dialogue and nonsense from that. I have a few goals in this game mode that I would like to try to accomplish. I did try to do it on my previous playthrough and almost made it, and then failed miserably. So, yeah, I've only done a full playthrough of story mode once, and then I've kind of dabbled before then just to kind of get experience with the game. This is definitely a game I've been interested in. I played a bit of it on PlayStation 1 emulated, the original Dokapon Kingdom. There are definitely things that are frustrating about it, and there's definitely things that it doesn't really tell you that will also frustrate you, and once you learn about it, it may or may not also frustrate you. That being said, if you are familiar with the game at least enough, you can definitely do a lot of things, and there's a lot of ways to play it. So, story mode. Alright, so you can play up to 4 players. You have to have at least 2 players. It does have all these options for like various combinations of CPU players and stuff like that. I'm going to be going 1 player with 3 CPUs. Alright, so this will be our person. we're gonna go. Thank you, Professor Oak. Alright. So there are 3 starting jobs you can play as. There's the Magician, the Warrior, and the Thief. This will decide a few things. It decides every time you level up, what job you're currently playing as will give you a certain stat increase, or certain increases to certain stats. For example, Warrior will give you +2 attack, +1 defense, and 10 HP from just leveling up as that class. Also, each of these classes will, as you level them up, will unlock certain abilities that are specific to them. And then also every job class has a passive ability that is that may or may not be useful or trigger. Warrior's passive ability is randomly at the start of their turn, they will get an attack increase. And that attack increase will actually last for a couple of turns. That attack increase is actually really, really good. And if you can take advantage of it, it can help you defeat some tough monsters and bosses that are, otherwise inaccessible. The Magician's passive ability is the ability to cast 2 field magics per turn. Usually on your turn, the way it works is you can choose to use an item or a field spell. If you use one or the other, usually that's it, and then you have to, move on to the movement phase. Magician, if you choose to do a field magic, you can actually do a second one. So, which can be pretty useful if you are someone that's playing around with a lot of field magic type stuff. And then the Thief, their passive ability is being an asshole. Their special ability is stealing. If you land on or pass any player, you will steal a random item or field magic from them. You'll never steal money, and you'll never steal equipment, but you will steal anything else from them, pretty much. And there's no way to avoid it, as far as I know. The only way you can avoid being stolen, I guess the one way you can avoid being stolen from is if you're currently in timeout or a coffin. In other words, you've died recently. Even if you go invisible, the Thief will still steal from you. And then for the most part, as far as stats are concerned, Warrior is going to specialize in attack, Magician will be in magic, and Thief will get speed. And we'll go over more about these stats as we kind of go along. Yeah, there's a lot to kind of go over, and if you're not really familiar with the game, it can definitely lead to a spot where you feel like you're less effective in the late game. I'll do my best to try to explain things. I'm not going to claim I'm an expert either. My one playthrough of this game, I was in last place for a number of reasons, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, and we're going to go with a color... You know what? Let's go pink. Set face to arrogant. And we need to pick a name. Our name is going to be... Oop. I don't know if there's enough space for this. Patchouli. Alright, Patchouli. Let's see if you can do better than my previous character. Alright. Give me 1 moment. Alright, I can already hear you screaming. I did misspell it. Patchouli. There we go. That's correct. Alright. Arrogant face, pink color, starting job as Magician, and we are a girl in this gameplay. Alright. And then for the CPU, it will pick a random gender, color, and class, and then it defaults to weak CPU. There are 3 CPU levels. There's weak, normal, and sneaky. More or less, this just affects how many mistakes they make. No matter what setting you put them on, they will be cheating, and we'll kind of go over how they cheat as we go along. That being said, there are certain things the AI, even on the highest difficulty, sneaky here, where they will just break and not be able to progress. It's pretty funny when it happens, but we'll see how things go from there. So I want to set everything to sneaky. To be honest, I would if you're just someone that just wants to have fun and explore the gameplay, I suggest normal. That at least makes the CPU at least partially competent, and they won't be as so ridiculously quote-unquote lucky. But for now, we'll go sneaky. So we got a sneaky Magician, whose color is white, and with a normal face. We got a green male magician, and he's smug. Okay, and then we have a male thief whose color is black. Alright, I'm just gonna make sure I did that correct. Yep, sneaky CPU, okay, everyone's sneaky. I did consider in the past maybe making sure that at least there's one of every class in the beginning, but honestly it does not matter, and it'll become clear why it doesn't matter soon. Alright. Alright, so random names have been set. Our opponents are going to be Maya, Tony, and Hero. Okay. So my last playthrough, I also was last. And there seems to be just a pool of random names they use for the AI. If you're wondering who won my full playthrough, it was Gabrielle. So, the adventure begins. Get out there and have some fun. Without further ado. It's another peaceful day in Dokapon Kingdom. Everybody's working hard to make money. And here we are.
Adventurers, welcome to Dokapon Kingdom.
Why, you don't have any equipment. You'll need some for your journey. Stop on the loot spaces to obtain some gear. I'd like you to get to Dokapon Castle ASAP. You have 2 weeks. Whoever makes it here first will score some keen bonus points.
Let the adventure begin.
Prologue, the Kingdom in Crisis. Rush to Dokapon Castle. So yeah, if you're playing on normal mode, you won't ever see this map.
Almost there. I'm about to shine.
Alright, field explanation. Each player will get 1 turn per day. Turn progression is item use, movement, combat. Spin your spinner to see how far you can move. If you have items that affect your movement, such as spinners or crystals, you can be strategic. You can use the autopath function to see your possible destinations. P.S. Use the autopath. Item spaces give you items, and magic spaces give you magic. Landing on an empty space will either put you in combat or a special event. So something to note about movement is you have to go the exact movement to go on that space. It doesn't matter if it's a dead end or not. You have to have the exact number. So that's why I say use the auto path, because the auto path will take into account every possible route you can take with that movement. Because there's situations where you'll have a lot of movement, a lot of spaces you can move, and there's going to be things like loops that you can take advantage to, or detours that you can take to manipulate how many movement points you have left before reaching the end. So that's a way to kind of make sure that you can get to where you need to go. Alright, real quick, I'm just going to check the settings again. Okay, it's still... Okay, speed feature did not save. That's what I was wondering about. It looked like everyone was going a little too fast. Okay, you're supposed to hit the A... I didn't press the A button to save it. That's what happened. Okay, so yeah, right now we are Patchouli, a level 1 magician, and there's a little 1 star there for the job level as well. Well, there's experience levels, and then there's a job levels, which we'll kind of go into. Alright, and then the pay represents our salary that we're going to get at the end of every week. Alright, currently, as mentioned, we have no gear. Alright, I have 3 movements, so I'm going to be starting... so the spaces we generally want to land on as we go along is the weapon space, the battle magic, shield space, and yeah, battle magic. Items can be helpful. Obviously, be careful about things like thieves. The thief went to the right, so I'm going to go to the left. These little arrow paths are one way. You can't go back the other way. Okay, 3 crystal. That's good. So crystals, instead of spinning your spinner here, a crystal will essentially give you a movement equal to its value. So a 3 crystal you can pop that to give yourself just a flat 3 movement. All right, and how the AI talks will be based off what place they are in, and what place you are in is based off your total value, which right now is just going to be based off the raw money we currently have in our pocket, which most of us are starting with 2. Another thing to note about the spinner is all spinner, every roulette, every spinner, every slot machine, pretty much everything quote-unquote RNG related is seeded ahead of time at the start of your turn. So no matter what, you cannot manipulate it. If you are playing on an emulator, save states and stuff, you will not be able to manipulate it. If you were to load save right now, it would play out exactly the same. Alright, so with that, so I have that 3 crystal. I'm going to hold on to it for now. Mainly because I moved 3 anyway. Alright, so this is going to get us a random shield. Shields just get you defense. Which, defense is not something you generally want to level up, but it's definitely something you want to get from your gear. And as you can see, since that path there was not one way, Maya opted to go ahead and move back a space just to get the weapon tile. Because fighting with your fist is generally not fun. I believe the best weapon you can get from the weapon tiles is a longsword. I think for the shield, I think the best is the leather shield. I don't know if the wooden shield's better or not. And then for magic, the best combat spell is Scorch, and then I think there's only one defensive magic you can get. Yeah, wooden shield I think is this. Yeah, I think it's maybe the second best you can get from here. Alright, I can move 3 spaces with the crystal. We're not going to mess with that. Alright, we can move 4 spaces. Okay, I can work with this. She landed on another weapon tile. She's going to get a dagger. And yeah, so something to note about equipment. You only have 1 slot for it, and unlike other games where you can have like your equipment in your inventory, the swap, that's not a thing in this game. Any new gear you get, you'll get opted to replace it, and if you choose not to replace it, you drop it. And whatever you're replacing will get dropped. If you get a weapon, you'll generally do very well moving to the blank yellow tiles. The blank yellow tiles will have two things that could possibly happen. One is battle against a random monster, and the difficulty of the monster will be based off the area you're fighting in. And then the other thing is a random event. As far as I know, the tutorial area does not have any random events. It's only combats, and it's always going to be against kobolds. Also, if you land on a player space, it will. Sorry, if you land on a player while on a yellow space, you will fight that player. Emguard. So I wanted Scorch, but unfortunately luck is not on our side. And unfortunately, you do get bonus points for getting to the end first. And unfortunately, I'm probably going to end up being last. On my previous playthrough, I was first. Oh, you went back. Oh, actually you can get SP charge. I didn't realize you can get that. So SP charge is probably the best you can get from here. I'll talk more about magic defense and magic offense in a bit. Preferably when I get into a combat. One damage. Level up, boo. Alright, I don't have any items, and all I have is a shield. Well, good luck me. And I'll get onto an item tile. One crystal. Moving one space can be useful if you're just trying to get to a specific tile. And I'm guessing Maya's going to probably get out on the next turn, because that's usually how the AI goes. Every time you level up, you do get 2 bonus points that you can distribute to your stats, on top of the bonuses that you get from your current class level up. All right. I can get to right there. So yeah, you need to land exactly on this tile to make things work. So from here, I would need to get either a 4 or a 5. Alright, combat. One-on-one showdown. If you land on an empty space, you'll begin combat with a random monster. Landing on a player space means you enter combat with them. Choose a card to see who attacks first. Select 4 from 4 actions. Attack and defend. So the way it works is kind of like paper, scissors, rock. To a point, stats definitely can manipulate it. Generally, if your opponent's attacking, you want to be defending. If your opponent is striking, you want to be countering. And if they're doing offensive magic, you want to be using your defensive magic. Obviously, if you have insanely high stats that overpower their offensive capabilities, sometimes that option doesn't really matter. Alright. You can swap the cards if you want to. There is an item that lets you see the initiative cards, so you can actually force it to make you go first. And then as far as combat's concerned, I'm gonna go ahead and counter. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. So, if you pick the wrong option, you'll generally take more damage. That's usually how the damage formula works. If it's a normal attack and you're defending, you'll take normal damage. And if you pick the other options, you'll take more damage, essentially. I believe countering has the highest risk, where you take more damage if it's not a strike, compared to just doing defensive magic. The other thing you just noticed is strike is a very, very powerful attack that uses attack, magic, and speed to calculate your damage. It does quite a bit. And then it goes against your opponent's attack, magic, and speed as well. Or not attack. It goes against their defense, magic, and speed. But the catch is, if your opponent chooses to counter, not only will the attack do no damage, it will be countered, and you'll take a lot of damage in return. In the early game, a successful counter will usually kill the enemy. Congratulations, Maya, for being the first one here. Let me give you 8 points to add to your stats. So that's essentially 4 level ups worth of stats. It's not a big deal in the late game, but in the early game, it's quite the boost. I will provide you with some starting equipment if you don't already have it. After this, you're on your own. Alright. So he's in range. I think he needs like a 5 or a 6. And he's probably going to get it. I fully believe I'm going to be last. Okay, he didn't actually make it. I'm actually really glad the counter worked. I was kind of comfortable doing counter simply because I had a shield. Also, it was the only way to guarantee I will kill the monster in one turn. The only other way I can guarantee a kill right now, because I have no weapon or attack spell, is to do strikes. And that's risky, as you have seen. Alright. So I have a 1 crystal, but that's not going to do anything here. Oh, thank God, we're going second. Okay, we're out of here. Welcome, Patchouli. You're the second person to make it here. I will grant you 6 points to add to your stats, so about 3 level ups. And we're just going to put them all into magic. I guess I should talk about this. Okay. So, attack it. Every point of attack will, of course, increase your damage whenever making physical attacks and strikes. Or regular attacks and strikes. Defense will reduce any physical damage that you take from attacks and strikes. Magic is both your magic attack and magic defense. It affects how much damage you do with your offensive magic, as well as any field magic that cause damage. And then the more points you have in magic, the less you'll take from opposing people's offensive magics and often damaging field spells. SP is speed. Speed affects your evasion and accuracy in combat. The only things that can miss in combat are strikes and, well, normally in combat is attacks and strikes. Magic, offensive magic by itself generally can't miss. The other thing speed can do is it increases your accuracy and evasion against field magic, which will be something that will be happening quite often throughout the game. And then HP is HP. It's pretty straightforward. So the dump stat, or the trap stat here, is defense. The main reason because it works as intended. I believe every point of defense reduces the amount of damage you take by about like 1.2 points. The problem is 1 point of defense is 1.2 damage mitigation, while increasing your HP, every point that you put into HP increases your HP by 10. And 10 is much higher than 1.2. That being said, defense is not worthless, but you usually will want to get defense passively, either through some certain classes or through equipment, such as your shield. So, for this build, the mistake I kind of made on my previous playthrough was I ended up kind of only going partially. I ended up being kind of a jack of all trades almost, and that does not play well in the end game. So I'm trying to be a bit more focused. If you're just someone that's just learning this game and just wanting to ensure that they remain effective, just focus on attack and or speed, because physical attacks tend to carry you through majority of the game. Magic has a pretty good start, and then it has some issues towards the end. So, but for this, I'm going to try this build where I'm going to be focusing purely on magic, which is going to make me very, very vulnerable in combat, but we'll see how it plays out. I'll be counting on you, Patchouli. I'll provide you with some starting equipment if you don't already have it. After this, you're on your own. Speaking of traps, the tutorial area is kind of a trap in itself. You're better off just rushing to the end to get as many stat points as you can get, because the king will always guarantee that you'll get some starting equipment that fill in every slot. So you'll get the weakest weapon, shield, you'll get pickpocket spell, and you'll get a basic magic guard, no matter what, as long as you reach the end. Alright, so every turn is a day in this game, and then at the end of the week, it tallies up all this. So it takes a look at how much money everyone has, it updates everyone's salary, the number of towns, the amount of income from said towns, and then the total assets is what is going to decide your ranking. So currently, I am not last, but I'm close. Oh no, actually, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong person. I'm used to playing the white color for the character. So actually, I am last, just barely. I'm also lowest level because I've only fought one battle so far. And then you get to see a fancy little chart thing. So you can see this little thing here, how many weeks it took me. Let's just replace this file because I'm not using it. Alright, and if you finish the tutorial area, until everyone finishes the tutorial area, the prologue will not end. The prologue will also, well actually sorry, the prologue will end in 2 weeks, but it'll also end early if everyone gets through the tutorial area, which will probably be in about a turn or two. Alright, so pickpocket, so neat thing about magic, not only does it do damage, but it'll usually do some sort of special, some of them will, actually I think all of them have a chance of doing a special effect. So there are magics that are kind of useful for even characters that don't have high magic. So the pickpocket spell, its damage multiplier is not particularly great, but it does have the added effect of stealing money from the target. Poke. So yeah, as long as you have any weapon, you can kill kobolds in one hit, no matter what, unless you miss, which can happen. Yeah, 5 crystal. Monsters can also randomly drop items. Generally, it's the AI that gets the drops. Alright, welcome Tony. You're the third person here. I'll grant you 5 points, or 2.5 level ups. Alright, same thing as before. Alright, got one person left. Alright, so we're gonna have a thief on us. Okay, the thief will be here next round, so we're okay at the moment. Alright, so a few things to know about the map. So you got magic spaces, these will give you random field magics. Item spaces will give you random items. Bank spaces are places where you can get tax money from the towns you own, or you can invest in one town that you own. Dark space, we'll talk about that later. And then these are towns, and in the beginning, all towns are taken by these monsters. If you want further details about what a tile does or what a monster has, all you have to do is hit the X button, and definitely take advantage of this. You don't want to go into a battle blind. So, for example, that orc is level 6 and probably pretty bulky. Meanwhile, this kobold king's only level 5. Still pretty dangerous at this point, but you can see the differences in stats. You can see what sort of special abilities it has. It has Scorch and Magic Guard, as well as the Charge special ability. And then, of course, we got the item store, we got the weapon store, and we have the magic store. And then there's some few styles that don't matter right now, like the Colosseum. There's also a cave up here that you can actually enter. And then you can see these little guys here. These guys are the guys that are blocking the way to the next chapter. So this is chapter 2, and right now this area is chapter 1. Also down here we have a red space. This generally has a lot of bad things that happen to you, very similar to like a red tile or a Bowser tile in Mario Party. But sometimes the red loot space will have some very upper tier items that are usually maybe the top tier of this current chapter or possibly the next chapter. But it's super risky to go on these, and there's a high chance that you'll lose items and or die on this thing. But if you want to like gamble early, that is a way to do it. Something also to note, every Sunday, stores are closed. So that's why there are X's on this tile. If there's an X on a tile, by the way, you cannot move onto it. Like not even as like as a null space. Like you can't. It won't. It could actually. It could definitely mess around with your movement. Like for example, if I rolled a 6 right now, I wouldn't be able to move onto this tile, which would mean I would have to like force myself to either go to here or like do this weird circle thing if I was trying to make my way up north. So that's kind of the gist of it. So the thief's going to be arriving next round probably, so I'm safe for now. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a magic space right now. Now one thing I definitely want to be doing is fighting. I want to fight as much as possible. But I want to go ahead and grab whatever's here. Okay. Because you can sell items in and field magic.
Hey there. Which one do you want?
Yeah. One of the first things that anyone should be doing is going to the weapon store and getting the best they can get. Because it'll definitely help you. Yeah, so right now I have like the worst weapon, quote-unquote worst magic. Alright, since you were the last one here. Yeah, since you're the last one here, I'll only give you 4 points to add to your stats, or 2 level ups. Yeah, it's a nice boost in the early game, but like I said, eventually 2 levels is going to be meaningless. Alright, looks like you're all here now. In order for you to beat each chapter, you'll need to defeat some big monsters and clear the chapter event. No roughhousing, be nice to each other. Spoiler, the AI will not be nice to you.
Just a reminder, whoever has the most money will be the next king of Dokapon. Furthermore,
You will also win the super bonus prize.
the hand of Princess Penny in marriage. Now then, adventurers, good luck out there.
Alright, so we finished this like a week early. Chapter 1, help the little guy, a cure for cash. Alright, so at this point, every new chapter will start with those red boss monsters spawning on one of the towns. And generally the goal is to go after those boss monsters. Oh, and I guess it goes without saying, but if you kill a monster that's on a town, you will take that town as yours. Needless to say, the standings will change drastically once someone takes a town. Alright, I just need to get to the weapon store, and my luck to get to the weapon store is usually pretty bad. Like that. Let's just go fight. So I'm gonna move off to the side and hope that this asshole doesn't walk past me. Alright, we're going up against an imp who's level 2. Alright, so there's also a couple things you can also look at. There's the information button, which will reveal things like what your stuff does and what their stuff does. Oh, something to know about defensive magic, which I didn't know until I actually looked it up. Even if you choose not to use your defensive magic, having something equipped, having defensive magic equipped at all, will usually reduce the amount of damage you take. So it's a good idea to have the best defensive magic as possible, even if you're not someone that absolutely needs it. Anyway, there's also prediction, which you cannot do prediction if it's the first time you fight an enemy. So this is our first time fighting an imp, so we don't have info. So this thing is reasonably tough. It has more magic than me, more attack, and more everything. So I'm just going to strike. Okay, he's M guarding. Okay. I didn't want to take any risk with this.
Out of my way.
Alright, 14 experience. Got some money. Alright, so as mentioned before, you'll get stats based off of your class. So for a magician, you get 2 magic, 1 speed, and 10 health. And then there's also some other things that will give you stats, but for right now, we're not going to worry about that. Alright, and then I have 2 points to spend. I want to put it all into magic. Yeah, if I had done magic or just a regular attack, I'm pretty sure I would not have killed that thing. And then it would have probably wrecked me. Alright, Kobold King. Hey, good job. And Kobold King's attack went up. That can be kind of dangerous if Kobold King goes first next round. Okay, Hero's just hanging out over there. As for the types of enemies you fight, it's going to be based off a couple of things. One is the overall terrain. So, for example, if you're the tile you stop on is over water, you'll probably be fighting something that's aquatic. The other thing that decides what you're fighting is how far away you are from the castle. So the further out you go, the more difficult the enemies get. Same thing for things like caves. Like the deeper you go into a cave or dungeon, usually makes the enemies get progressively harder. Also, enemies can give up. When they do, you won't get any experience or money, but you will always get an item from them. All right, so I could try to run up here. Right now, sorry, pressing the wrong button. Kobold King right now has 18 attack though, so me surviving a hit from him would be rather difficult. But yeah, I could run up there and try to steal it. And it's kind of tempting. Of course, if I do that, I will very much upset Maya, and then she will murder me. So you know what? I'm just gonna leave the AI alone. If you end up getting into first place, and there's multiple AI, they are going to just make your life absolutely miserable. So for right now, I don't exactly want to be in first place. So yeah, we'll just go to the weapon store. First thing I'm going to be doing is selling everything I have. A couple reasons I'm doing this. One, I need money. And two, it's going to get stolen by a hero once he gets on this tile. So there we go, 17. We also sell equipment if we need to. So yeah, we start. Oh, yeah, I guess we started with the worst shield too, even though we found it. So you got wooden shield, knife, pickpocket, and M-guard. Alright, so with this I can get a hand axe. So think about weapons. Obviously they have progressively higher and higher stats, but they also will do extra damage based off your class. So for example, Thief generally does better with knives, Clerics generally do better with like maces and axes, Fighters or warrior types will get do better with swords, Mages do better with staffs, but there are not very many of those. And yeah, so for the most part, in most cases, you're better off just going for big numbers and not worry about the classes, because one, you're probably not going to be that class, and two, your class is going to be changing as you progress through the game. So let's buy ourselves an axe. And then we have just enough to get a buckler. So I did actually have the worst shield. The best one we could have started with was actually the buckler. I did not know that. So yeah, we'll grab the buckler. This will give us more defense and more speed. Alright, and that leaves us with 215. Alright, sorry for the long-winded explanations. Kobold King? Oh, you're doing Scorch. Nope, not enough. I think attacking probably would have been better. So she's opting to do magic because she's guaranteed to get the kill, and magic has 0% chance of missing. For the most part, even if you have double the speed of your opponent, you still have about a 10% miss chance. And supposedly you have a 100% hit rate if you're like 3 times their speed, but because of how the code and math works, there's apparently still a slight chance they'll still fail. Stealing. So yeah, stole an item from Tony as he walked by. Item tricksters, by the way, can steal items from other players. And he just used it to sell it to buy the rapier. The AI will always go for the biggest weapon first, and then they'll upgrade their shield. Yeah. I definitely want to get a better spell. The only other spell that's really of note in this chapter is Scorch, which will definitely do more damage than Pickpocket. But for right now, I'm not really in any rush to get anywhere. I kind of wanted the first town there, but like I said, I'm not actually in a big rush for that. So let's just you're level 6. Level 6. I'm just seeing what's around. Level 8. And level 8. Alright, so if we want to take on anything, it'll have to be one of these guys. The Lizard Man. It's kind of scary. And they're both Lizard Man. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to survive a hit for them. That's the issue. Alright. So yeah, I'm probably just going to hang out here for a bit. The first chapter is going to be a little volatile with that thief running around. It's our first time fighting him. I should be able, so one thing to note is some monsters don't actually have a defensive magic, as you can see there, which means they're taking 100% magic damage from you. So in this case, with 13 magic, I should be able to just one-shot him with Pickpocket. And I get more money out of him. Yeah, 67, that's plenty. And like I said, the nice thing about magic is it can't miss. Alright, we leveled up again. We're going to increase our magic. I am going to be tapping through the AI's dialogue, because this is going to be a long game. Bonk. Yeah, Maya is already starting pretty strong here. She's currently in first place just because she has a town. Yeah. So the blue books are status effects or debuffs or special effects. Anything that's like a red or a yellow book is a damage spell usually, or an orange book.
Excuse me, young one. Could you please spare some change?
Alright, so the beggar. After taking your money, the old man vanishes in thin air. So there's a few things that can happen. If you give money to the beggar, he can just disappear into smoke. He can turn into a goddess of generosity, in which case you'll get an item from her. And then you can also refuse him. If you refuse him, nothing will happen, or it will turn into the goddess of generosity, who will put a debuff on you. The amount of money you give, you're asked to give, is a percentage of your current gold on your person. So if you're someone that has millions upon millions of gold on you, the beggar will ask for quite a bit of it. So you might be better off just saying no. Alright. Back to doing what we're doing. So I can get to that tile. Yeah, we're just gonna hang out here for a bit. Random event. Oh, I'm going into debt.
Me? I'm the wandering doctor. Dr. Exiles. I'm glad I could help.
You look just fine. That's 5,000 gold for the house call. I'm glad I could help you. Pwahaha. All the money in the world won't do you any good when you're sick. Stay healthy. Pwahaha. So I'm in debt. I'm now, and yes, you can get into negative money in this game, and it sucks if you're in negative money because you pretty much can't do anything, as far as anything that requires money. That is.
Excuse me.
Oh, actually, sorry. There is one more thing the beggar can do. If you have 0 money or are in debt, the beggar will give you a random item, I believe.
Thank you very much.
Also, sorry I talked over this woman.
I'm counting on you.
Alright, so that's the village girl. She'll give you a random item and tell you to go to a random town that's within well, an accessible town, we'll put it that way. If you deliver that item to that town, you'll get a lot of money. And I'm getting attacked by a hero here, and he's going to kill me. I'm going first, though. So I got that going for us. Alright. So if I pickpocket and he counters... So I guess I'll talk about predictions. So when fighting against other players, you'll always have access to predictions. Right now, if I do a regular attack and he does defend, he'll survive with very low health. And then if he picks the other two options, those white little spooky faces represent death. The little orange face represents being pretty much reduced down to about half health. And there's some other smiley faces that you can get that just represent that you're much higher in HP after the exchange. So I have a lot of options that can potentially kill him. The AI does take into account your stats on whether or not they'll do what option. So yeah, it could be a lot of things. The other thing to note is Hero does have 15 speed, so even if I do pick correctly, there's a chance if I don't cast a spell, there's a chance I'll miss. No matter how bad your speed is, you'll always have a 50% chance to hit. So we got that going for us, but beyond that, it's kind of rough. Also, one option you have while you're the defender is giving up. And giving up just means you lose. But the penalty for losing through give up compared to being beaten to the ground is much, much less. Alright, so with all that in mind, I'm just going to strike. Damn right.
Out of my way.
Okay. So when you fight a player and you defeat them, if they're a lower level than you, you get no experience. If they're equal level, you get a little bit of experience, and if they're higher level than you get enough experience to match their level. So that's definitely a very good way to rubber band if you happen to be behind in levels. As for what you can do to a player once you defeat them, it kind of depends on how you defeat them. If they give up, their options are far reduced. But in the case of if you beat them to the ground like we just did, you can take a lot of more things from them. You can also forgive them, you can also prank them, and you can also give them things. Give is in the case that you happen to have a cursed item, which we don't have any. Pranking is generally just mind games and goofiness. You can change their name to a random name. I believe in the console version you can actually type out a name for them, but obviously for Steam and online play, they definitely don't want that to get out of control. You can also do things like put graffiti on their face. You can change their hairstyle, which can be anything from like changing it to like poo or making them bald. And then for robbing, there's a few things. Since we defeated them fully in combat, you can actually steal towns from them if they happen to have any. You can also steal all of their field magic. You can steal all of their items. You can steal a good chunk of their cash, or actually you can take all of their cash, or you can take a piece of equipment. If he had given up instead, the amount of money you can take would be like a quarter or a half, I think. You wouldn't be able to steal equipment, you wouldn't be able to steal towns, and then for items and field magic, you'll be able to take only 3. So I'm going to take equipment, and I'm taking his rapier. Because it's an upgrade, and it'll set him back. And it's an upgrade for me, so it gives me more speed and more attack.
I'm about to shine.
Again, sorry for all the talking, but there's a lot of things to... I mean, it's a Let's Play. You're going to hear me talk regardless, but I am going to be kind of front-loading a lot of the explanations here. Okay. I am still... As you can see, I'm at negative 4,700 gold right now. I keep wanting to say Gamel, because that's the currency from Sword World, but that's not correct in this game. Alright. We are level 3? Yeah, we're level 3. Alright. Alright, one space. We're just going to go down. Also, whenever you die or give up, you will go on timeout. And the duration of timeout can be kind of randomized if you happen to be defeated through loss of HP. Okay, pickpocket will guarantee kill. So yeah, this is definitely a good state to be in, where everything is in your favor. Pickpocket. But yeah, as I was saying, if you get defeated, your body will either go to heaven, or it'll get pulled down into the depths. And pretty much whatever animation plays decides how bad the punishment is. And it'll decide how long you will be in timeout for. The other thing to note is if you die through damage, you'll be taken back to your last respawn point. In most cases, that'll be Dokapon Castle, but it can also be any temples that you happen to last visit. That's the other benefit of giving up. Giving up will only make you lose one turn of timeout, and it doesn't take you back to your spawn point. We have a lot of mages at the start, which is kind of good and bad. Also, before Hero actually attacked me, I believe he tried to cast a field magic on Maya, and you probably saw her just like jump to the side. That represents that the spell missed. The accuracy of your field magic is based off speed versus your opponent's speed. If you are equal speed to your opponent, it is a 60% chance that it'll connect, and then every speed that you beat them by gives you +1 accuracy. Otherwise, it's -1 accuracy. And yes, you can get to the point where I believe the bare minimum the accuracy can go down to is 20%. The highest it can go to is 100%. Alright, we have a Magna spell, which can be helpful. So yeah, if I were to use Magma, you can target players with this. 60% chance, hits for 37. The damage for a damage spell is based off your magic. And I can even target the enemies that are on the field right now. Also, we have a blockade here. This boss here is going to do random effects every once in a while. He can do things like steal money from you, steal tax money, sometimes even spawn a new monster on a town, taking it back over. They can also do blockades like this one. They can also do random debuffs and things like that to certain targets as well. It kind of varies depending on what chapter you're in and what you're fighting against. Alright, so with that, we're going to go ahead and just move. Oh, also, important thing to note about the X button here where you can view the space. If you do that on a store, it actually shows exactly what they have for sale. So, the best shield here is 1200. And then over here we can see that we can get a variety of field magics, as well as the Scorch spell. There's also Swap and Drain, which are actually good spells if you are someone that has low magic, because the damage it does is not based off your magic stat. And then, of course, you have some defensive magic here, which the best one here is Refresh. It gives you about 30% damage reduction against magic damage. And if you trigger it against someone using attack magic on you, it will actually heal you, which is pretty helpful. Anyway, onwards. We'll go down here. Actually, we're just going to hang out. We're going to stay out of everyone's way. Hopefully not get killed. Alright, so all this does that. Strike can actually kill me. Going back to the castle, by the way, will heal you to full and get rid of all status effects. 27. Every time you level up, by the way, your HP will be restored back to full. I'm actually kind of okay with having pickpocket now, because I'm going to be poor for a while. Alright. Weekly ranking. I wonder where I place. So there's our current money. Our salary. Number of towns. And then you can see the town income is quite a bit. And now Maya is very much in the lead. One other thing to talk about salary. You can get a bonus based off if you accomplish certain things as your current class. For magicians, if you cast, I believe, 8 or 10 field magics, you will get a bonus. For thieves, it's based off the number of quote-unquote item spaces that you hit. And then for warriors, it is just how many fights you get into. And then the other classes also have a variety of other things. So, my flat line has now gotten lower, so that's nice. Needless to say, the early game's going to be like that. Okay, no more blockade. Oh, there's also an item store down here in the south that has different items. Magma Plus. That's actually worth a lot of money if you sell it. It also hits like a truck if you haven't have enough magic. And always just remember, after every weekling standing or rankings, the stores will be closed because it'll be Sunday. Oh, speaking of terrain, some terrain will do things to you if you try to stop on those tiles. In the case of snow, if you stop on it without a certain item equipped, you will be paralyzed for 1 turn, which pretty much just makes it so you're stuck on that tile for an additional turn. Alright, the lock field magic can make it so you can't use any items or field magic, and I'm going to go ahead and call it here. When we come back, we will be playing on higher speed, just for the fact that this is going to take a while. So yeah, I will be switching the speed feature to ×2. It'll be ×2 speed for only the AI. It will not be ×2 for our turns. Alright, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I am the Depressed This is Dokapon Kingdom Connect, and I'll see you guys later.